Hold up. Because what I'm about to tell you? Yeah. Nobody saw this plot twist coming. In this game, you gotta keep moving. That's the caption. That's the energy. That's the message that had the entire internet spiraling at 3:17 a.m. So let me ask you something. Why was Cardi B spotted looking emotional, almost teary-eyed, walking out of a private lounge with Belgian football powerhouse Romelu Lukaku? Just hours after insiders claimed Stefan Diggs was allegedly in shambles and crying in a closed locker room? Crying. Over her. Oh, y'all thought this was just another rumor cycle? Oh no. This is chess, not checkers. Because while one man is reportedly breaking down in tears, another man with a $100 million plus empire is being photographed with the same woman who just weeks ago was dodging breakup questions like Neo in The Matrix. And the timing? Suspicious. The body language? Telling. The caption? Calculated. So the real question is, did Cardi move on, or was she pushed? And why are sources suddenly whispering about secret meetings, emotional phone calls, and a Super Bowl fallout nobody wants to explain? Oh, we're unpacking all of it. All right, let's get into it. Because the internet did not just wake up and choose violence. The internet woke up and chose investigation mode. Now, here's what we know. And when I say what we know, I mean what has been circulating, what has been whispered, what has been screen recorded, zoomed in on, slowed down, reposted, deleted, and reposted again. It started with a sighting. Late night, private lounge, low lighting, no press, no red carpet, no announcement, just vibes. And who was seen walking out looking emotional? None other than Cardi B. Yes, Cardi. The same Cardi who not long ago had everybody believing she and Stefan Diggs were solid. The same Cardi who had fans debating whether she had finally found calm after chaos. But calm, that word has officially left the chat, because walking a few steps behind her, not beside her, not holding hands but close enough to be noticed, was Belgian football star Romelu Lukaku. Now pause, before anybody starts screaming, level up or rebound. Let's slow this down and unpack it the way detectives on social media have been doing all week. Cardi's face looked serious. Not party serious. Not irritated serious. Emotional serious. The kind of face you make when you've just had a conversation that shifts something. The kind of face that says, I'm processing. And the caption that followed hours later? In this game, you gotta keep moving. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that does not sound like a woman who is settled. That sounds like a woman adapting. And that's where Stefan Diggs enters the scene. Because almost at the exact same time those images started circulating, whispers began spreading that Diggs had been noticeably off. Quiet, low energy. Not posting like usual, not interacting. And then came the rumor that had everybody clutching their timelines, that he was seen emotional after practice. Head down, hoodie up, conversation short. Now is that confirmation of heartbreak? No. But in the world of celebrity optics, timing is everything. Let's rewind. Not too long ago, there were already murmurs about tension, people pointing out subtle social media shifts, likes disappearing, comments turning neutral. No more playful exchanges. You know how the internet is. They don't miss patterns. And if you've been following Cardi's relationship history, you already know stability has never been a simple storyline. Her past with Offset was public, messy, dramatic, passionate, chaotic, all at once. And fans remember. They remember the breakups, the reconciliations, the gifts, the apologies, the interviews. So when she started being linked to Stefan Diggs, people were cautiously optimistic. Athlete, focused, different energy, fresh chapter. But here's the thing about fresh chapters. Sometimes they still carry old energy. Because if we're being honest, Diggs has never exactly lived a quiet life either. He's charismatic, flashy, fashion-forward, and yes, often surrounded by attention. That comes with being a high-profile athlete. Now combine that with a high-profile artist like Cardi, and what do you get? Pressure. And the Super Bowl? Oh, that added gasoline to whatever spark was already there. Reports claimed Cardi didn't even stay for the full event. Some said she left early. Others said she looked distant. Of course, none of that is confirmed, but perception moves faster than truth. Then suddenly, boom, Belgian footballer in the frame. Now let's talk about Lukaku for a second. International star, powerful presence, global brand, business-minded, not loud on social media, not messy online, a very different aura compared to the usual American celebrity circle Cardi navigates. Which raises the question, coincidence or calculated move? Because think about the caption again. In this game, you gotta keep moving. What game? Love? Fame? Survival? Strategy? Or was that line meant for someone specific? Some fans believe it was subtle shade. Others think it was motivational. And then there are those who believe it was a direct message to Diggs. And if Diggs really was emotional, as rumored, what triggered it? Was it the sighting? Was it a conversation behind the scenes? Or was this tension brewing long before cameras caught anything? Let's also not ignore this. When celebrities are seen with someone new, especially someone powerful, the optics alone create narrative. A Belgian football icon standing next to an American rap superstar? That's global headlines waiting to happen. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Neither Cardi nor Lukaku posted each other. No official statement, no confirmation, just one sighting. And yet, that one sighting shifted the entire tone of the week. Yeah, which tells you something about how fragile public relationships can look under a microscope. Now, some people are saying this could be nothing. Business meeting, friendly interaction, industry crossover. After all, celebrities move in similar circles. But others are asking, why did she look emotional? Why that caption? Why that timing? And why is Diggs suddenly quiet? You see how quickly questions multiply? And when questions multiply, narratives build. And when narratives build, feelings get involved. Because let's not pretend fans don't pick sides. They do. Team Cardi, Team Diggs, Team She Deserves Better, Team He Didn't Deserve That. And in the middle of all of it, silence from the actual people involved, which only makes everything louder. Now here's what makes this situation different from past Cardi headlines. She doesn't look explosive. She doesn't look reactive. She looks controlled. And sometimes controlled is more telling than chaotic, because chaos is emotional. Control is strategic. So if this truly is a transition phase, if this truly is her keep moving era, then the next few weeks are going to reveal a lot. Is Lukaku just a headline cameo? Or is he the beginning of a new chapter? And if Diggs is indeed hurting, what does that mean for whatever they had? Because here's the truth about celebrity relationships. We only see fragments, moments, angles, edited versions, but body language, timing, silence, those things speak loudly. And right now, all three are speaking. The emotional exit, the cryptic caption, the quiet athlete. It's either coincidence or collision. And if this really is about movement, yet then somebody is being left behind. And as the whispers got louder and more clips started resurfacing, something else began to surface too. Stories from insiders who claimed this wasn't sudden at all, and that what happened behind closed doors might explain everything. And those insider whispers? That's where this story stops being a simple sighting and starts looking like something that had been building for weeks. Because according to people who claim they've been watching this unfold behind the scenes, the lounge moment wasn't random. It wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't a bump into each other and laugh it off situation. Allegedly, there had already been tension. Quiet tension. The kind that doesn't explode on Instagram Live but shifts energy in private rooms. Now, let's be very clear. None of this has been confirmed by Cardi, by Diggs, or by Lukaku. But when multiple anonymous sources close to the situation start telling similar stories, the internet does what it does best: connects dots whether they're there or not. One insider allegedly said Cardi had been emotionally distant for a couple of weeks before the sighting. Not dramatic, not arguing publicly, just distant, less visible together, fewer shared moments. And in celebrity world, absence is louder than presence. Another whisper claims that Diggs had been trying to smooth things over after what some are calling a trust misunderstanding. Now, what does that mean? Nobody knows. But that phrase alone sent fans into detective mode, because when someone says misunderstanding, the internet hears drama. And here's where it gets layered. Remember how fans noticed subtle social media shifts? Well, apparently that wasn't imagination. There were reportedly posts that went up and then were quietly removed, stories that were shared and then deleted. You know how that goes. Delete fast enough and maybe nobody screenshots it, except somebody always screenshots it. Now enter Lukaku again. The timing of that sighting wasn't just suspicious because of Diggs's rumored emotional state. It was suspicious because of location. The lounge they were seen exiting? Not exactly a random hotspot. It's known for private meetings, low visibility, select guest lists. That alone sparked theories that this wasn't accidental. Some people believe it could have been business. International collaborations are common. Brand partnerships happen quietly before announcements. Lukaku has global endorsements. Cardi has global influence. That makes sense. But then why did she look emotional? That's the detail that keeps resurfacing. People who claim to have seen the footage say she wasn't smiling. She wasn't laughing. She looked like someone who had just had a serious conversation. And Lukaku, calm, composed, hands behind his back, almost protective but not possessive. And that body language analysis, it sent social media into overdrive. Meanwhile, Diggs reportedly kept things low-key. No cryptic tweets, no dramatic captions, just silence, which, depending on who you ask, either means maturity or heartbreak. One anonymous gym acquaintance, and yes, this is how deep the rumor mill goes, allegedly said Diggs looked drained during a workout session. Not crying, not collapsing, just drained. Focused but quiet. And for someone known for confidence and flair, that shift felt noticeable. Now here's where speculation gets even more interesting. There are whispers suggesting that the Super Bowl event might have been the real turning point. Not because of what we saw on camera, but because of what allegedly happened off camera. Supposedly, there were uncomfortable run-ins, familiar faces in unexpected places, conversations that didn't sit right. Again, none of this is confirmed. But the narrative forming online is that Cardi walked into that event confident and walked out reconsidering. Which brings us back to the caption. In this game, you gotta keep moving. Some fans interpret that as resilience. Others interpret it as detachment. And a few interpret it as warning. Because when someone publicly states they're moving, it usually means they're not standing still waiting for someone to catch up. And what about Lukaku's side? Interestingly, he hasn't addressed anything. No reaction, no hint. Just business as usual. Training clips, professional updates. Interviews focused strictly on football, which actually adds fuel to the mystery. Because if this was meaningless, why not laugh it off? And if it was meaningful, why stay silent? Silence can be strategy. Now let's talk about perception. Cardi has always been vocal when she wants to be. She's not known for quietly accepting narratives. If something is false and it irritates her enough, she says something. But this time, no denial, no clarification. That absence of correction is what has people leaning toward something shifted. At the same time, Diggs' lack of visible reaction has fans split. Some say he's taking the high road, others say he's blindsided. And then there are those who think this could all be coincidence amplified by timing. But coincidence doesn't trend for days straight without fuel. And the fuel, in this case, seems to be energy. emotional energy. Let's consider another angle. High-profile relationships come with pressure, public scrutiny, expectations, every outing analyzed, every like dissected. That kind of environment can strain even the strongest dynamic. So, if there were already cracks forming, even small ones, it wouldn't take much to widen them. Now imagine being Cardi in that position. Global fame, multiple chapters behind you, a new relationship under constant observation. And suddenly, something shifts. Maybe it's trust, maybe it's timing, maybe it's priorities. And then imagine Digg's perspective, publicly linked to one of the biggest artists in the world, and pressure to be stable, pressure to avoid mistakes, pressure to look unbothered. Pressure does interesting things to people. And if Lukaku entered the picture at a moment when emotions were already complicated, even unintentionally, the optics alone would create ripple effects. But here's the detail that keeps this story alive. Nobody has officially said anything definitive, which means we're watching body language, captions, timing, and silence, like it's a coded message. And when stories rely on coded messages, the audience becomes part of the narrative. People are re-watching clips, zooming in, comparing expressions from weeks ago to now, analyzing interviews for tonal shifts. It's like the internet collectively decided this isn't just gossip. It's a mystery. But mysteries don't stay mysteries forever. Either someone will clarify, or another sighting will happen, or another caption will drop. Because if this truly is a keep-moving era, movement leaves traces. And as more people began claiming that this situation had been quietly evolving for longer than anyone realized, another layer started surfacing. One that suggests the lounge moment might not have been the first time paths crossed, and that what we thought was a coincidence could actually be part of a bigger shift already in motion. And if that lounge moment wasn't the first time their paths crossed, then that means what we saw wasn't a beginning. It was a reveal. Because here's what started surfacing next. Quiet chatter that Cardi and Lukaku had allegedly been in similar spaces before. Not publicly, not red carpet official, but overlapping circles, mutual brand events, international fashion gatherings, the kind of elite rooms where athletes and artists casually cross paths without anyone thinking twice. Until now. Now, suddenly, every past event photo is being re-examined like it's evidence in a courtroom. Wait, wasn't he at that Paris function? Didn't she perform at that global sports gala? Why are they in the same city again? See how quickly coincidence becomes conspiracy? But here's where it gets even more layered. One entertainment insider claimed, and again claimed, that the real shift didn't happen because of Lukaku. It happened because Cardi allegedly reached a personal limit. Not explosive, not dramatic, just a limit. The kind of moment where you sit back and ask yourself, is this aligned with where I'm headed? And that question alone changes behavior. Because when someone mentally detaches before they physically detach, and the energy feels different. The smiles look different. The captions feel intentional. In this game, you gotta keep moving. That line keeps echoing because it sounds less like romance and more like strategy. Now let's bring Diggs back into focus. Because while the internet paints him as either heartbroken or unbothered, the truth likely sits somewhere in the middle. Athletes operate in structured environments, practice, performance, discipline, image control. So even if emotions are involved, you won't necessarily see a public unraveling. What you'll see is routine, and that's exactly what's happening. Training clips continue. Appearances continue. No dramatic posts, no emotional monologues. But silence doesn't equal indifference. Sometimes silence equals recalibration. And if Diggs truly believed things were stable, if he didn't anticipate this level of narrative shift, then watching headlines pair Cardi's name with another global athlete would hit differently, especially one with international presence. Because, let's be honest, optics matter in celebrity relationships. It's not just about emotion, it's about image, power alignment, public positioning. Cardi next to Lukaku visually reads as global power couple energy, international crossover, billion-dollar rooms. Cardi next to Diggs reads as sports and music American dominance, different aesthetics, different branding narratives. And fans absolutely notice that. Some are already framing this as expansion. Others are calling it upgrade. And some are pushing back saying this is premature storytelling built on one-siding. But perception moves faster than confirmation. Now, here's the subtle detail that hasn't gotten enough attention. Cardi's recent interviews. Nothing direct, nothing explicit, but a tone shift. More focused on independence, more emphasis on personal growth, more language around self-preservation. When artists start talking like that, it usually means something internally shifted before externally. And if Lukaku entered the frame during a moment of self-evaluation, that doesn't automatically mean romance. It could mean perspective. Sometimes meeting someone outside your usual circle shows you contrast. Contrast can clarify things. But we also have to consider the possibility that this entire situation is being magnified beyond reality. One sighting does not equal relationship. One emotional expression does not equal heartbreak. One quiet week does not equal collapse. Yet the internet thrives on escalation. And let's not ignore timing. We are in an era where narratives trend faster than facts. A single clip becomes 1,000 opinions. A caption becomes a thesis. So here we are. Cardi hasn't confirmed anything. Diggs hasn't addressed anything. Lukaku hasn't acknowledged anything. And yet, the storyline feels massive. Because emotionally, people are invested. Some fans feel protective of Cardi. They want her happy, stable, secure. Some feel protective of Diggs. They don't want him publicly embarrassed. Some are simply entertained by the unpredictability. But what if this isn't about humiliation or upgrade or revenge? What if it's simply about evolution? People evolve, priorities shift, energy changes. And sometimes the shift happens quietly before anyone else notices. If this truly is a transition period, the next visible move will tell us more than any anonymous source ever could. Will Cardi be seen publicly again with Lukaku? Will Diggs post something cryptic? Will there be a public appearance that clears everything up? Or will this fade into one of those remember when moments that social media archives but never resolves? Because that's the other possibility, that this storm burns bright and then disappears. But right now, it doesn't feel like it's disappearing. It feels like it's repositioning. And repositioning is strategic. The caption wasn't chaotic, it was composed. The exit wasn't dramatic, it was measured. The silence isn't explosive, it's controlled, which suggests that whatever is happening isn't impulsive. And it's intentional. And intentional moves don't usually happen overnight. So, was this months in the making? Or weeks? Or days? We may never get a direct timeline. But one thing is clear, the energy has shifted. And when energy shifts in public relationships, it rarely goes back to exactly what it was. Now, whether this becomes a confirmed new chapter, a temporary misunderstanding, or simply an overanalyzed moment in celebrity culture remains to be seen. But if that caption truly means what it sounds like, then movement has already started. And when someone decides to move forward in silence, you don't always see the goodbye. You just notice the distance. And right now, the distance feels real. So now, I've got to ask you the real question. What do you think is actually going on here? Is this a quiet breakup unfolding in real time? Is this just a coincidence that the internet blew out of proportion? Or is Cardi really stepping into a whole new era while Diggs is left trying to figure out what just happened? Because, let's be honest, that caption wasn't random. That body language wasn't accidental. And that timing? Way too convenient. But maybe we're all reading too deep. Or maybe we're not reading deep enough. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I want to know whose side you're on. Or if you think there even are sides. Do you think this is over? Do you think this is strategy? Or do you think something bigger is about to unfold? And if you made it this far, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Because trust me, in this game, nobody stays still for long.